Welcome to the exciting part that I'm so excited about, which is peptides and how peptides and its family, herbs, mushrooms, food, and good water, how they work. Why am I changed the clothes in the middle of the same talk? And you're probably thinking, is this the same talk? I'm wearing the Superman shirt. Why? Because peptides are super. And I'm talking super. So let's me bring an illustration so then you can get a clearer understanding of the difference of what peptides do and what I've already illustrated in supplements, herbs, mushrooms, cleansers, and food. So peptides, I'll give you an illustration. So we've got a forest fire. The forest is ablaze. The blaze is illustrating inflammation in our body and in our brain. Now, there's a park ranger. He loves his job. He loves individuals, and he also loves the park. So he knows the terrain so well. So he navigates through the fire, even though it's scorching hot, and he gets to each individuals who are still trapped out there, and he puts oxygen masks on each one of them and breathes life back into them. Why am I making this illustration? Well, the people in this are your cells. The park ranger is the peptide. Once he's on the outskirts, he knows straight his way to navigate to those individuals by instinct and because he knows his terrain so well. And the people he's going to put oxygen onto are the cells. So this is how peptides work. Peptides are cell specific. And most peptides are sub-Q injectable, so tiny little needles. Some are oral, but as soon as you put that little needle in with the tiniest little amount, as soon as it's even introduced to your body recognizes it because it is the same pattern as your body. Amino acids naturally occur in your body, and as soon as it touches, and even before you squirt, the body recognizes it. Once you push it through, it goes straight to the cell in seconds, like that. And some peptides, as you'll get to experience, especially if they're to do with the brain, at times, with the right dosage, you will feel activation of the brain, and it is so cool. You can feel it like literally doing things inside. You feel this clearness coming about. You feel positive. It is an amazing feeling. So this is how peptides work. And I told you I tried to bring it out in an illustrative, poetic way. So what has mushrooms and herbs and food and water and supplements got to do? So what that would be, let's bring an illustration. So we have the fire's still going, and the park obviously has got blazes going everywhere. So those products I just listed are like a gentle rain coming in at the right time because it knows that there's a fire happening, because as we know, this is your brain unfortunately being overactive and full of oxidative stress. It just lets out a gentle rain over the whole terrain and a gentle breeze helping the fires be put out everywhere, but not also that, reaching those dear individuals who are hot, exhausted and tired, and raining on them and putting the fire around them out. So if we're putting the fire out around, and the ranger, he's already gone in and he's given life to those guys who are cells directly, we have a family. So that's how peptides, and that's how mushrooms, herbs, food, supplements, and water work. And I really wanted to illustrate it because there's not many podcasters, not because they're bad, but everyone seems to stick to their own fields, unfortunately. And I don't want to stick to those fields like some people, and there's nothing wrong. They're great. They're great naturopaths. They're great at ancient medicines. they're great at peptides, they're great at vitamins, they're great at minerals. But I want to combine the whole family so then you can understand, you can learn and become your own teacher. And as time progresses through these podcasts, you know your body so well, and you can think of the illustrations and you can think of what's going on in your body that you can heal yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this illustration of peptides and the other products I've already mentioned and how now they work together as a family. And let's start, because peptides are awesome. And I'll just bring a quick overview of history, just quick. We haven't got time, but I'd love to. Where did peptides originally come from? They mainly came from Russia. They started a long, long time ago, 1920s, 1930s. Why were they looking at peptides? They were looking at peptides, which are amino acids naturally occurring in our body, occurring in different places, and how the sequences put together formed that complex process, like delta sleep-inducing peptide, which comes from the brain, and other ones, which I won't go into specifics today because it's not part of the talk. It's called BPC157. It works with the stomach and other things. But they created it for their people because Russia gets so severely cold, and they are subjected back in those days to great colds and fevers because there was lack of food and so forth. So they wanted their people to overcome those things naturally, but also to have longer lifespans. So unfortunately, the Western world and modern application of medicine has said that we don't know about these peptides. They're very new. They're dangerous. We haven't got enough scientific facts or data to understand what they could do long term. So if this was the case, and I will let you know it's not the case, I actually emailed the founder of peptides in Russia. He's still around. He has a major big clinic that most Russians use. He helps so many people. They did their studies in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s as new peptides come out. They did their 10-year protocol on animals. Once it was safe and they went, yes, they did it on humans. They mostly don't have all the issues that Western countries have on levels we have of dementia, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and so forth. So I just wanted to clear that up. It's not a new thing. There is tons of scientific data, but unfortunately, the Western countries, for some reason, even though we live on the same planet, exclude Russia as an alien planet, that their foundings and their proof, for some reason, is not proof. So I just wanted to bring this forth because I've had amazing emails with this great scientist, and this is where peptides came from, except for BPC157, which came from another European country close by, and also DSIP. So I just wanted to bring up the overview of what it is. They are very safe when they're produced from legit companies. They are amino acids already working in our body. And I could also give you another illustration. Let's say you have your favorite song. Let's just say it's an Elvis song. And obviously you love that Elvis song. And as time goes on, the record and the mechanisms of the record and the needle, they're bouncing. It's running at a slower pace, and instead of running at a nice level, how the song's supposed to, it's like, love me tender, love me. So all the peptides are really doing is re-signaling and bringing health directly to it. So the song now plays back at the same level as it did when you were 20. This is why I love peptides, and they work naturally as nature and us were created. So I'll get into it without keep going on about how great peptides are. Let's get into ARA 290, SS31, DSIP, and Cmax. Let's get into SS31. So SS31 is made up of 4 amino acids. It's called a tetrapeptide, which means 4. What's so great about it is because it's only made up of 4, it can cross the blood-brain barrier to do repair work incredibly fast. What is it made up of? It's made up of 4 amino acids. Those 4 amino acids are arginine, D-tyrosine, lysine, and phenylalanine. Let's now go into what SS31 actually does. So SS31 directly is a mitochondria repairer. It also helps repair brain and nerve cells directly. What also does it do? It helps with ATP production. But it also cuts inflammation at the source. This is a key point, what makes it so incredible. So just keep that in mind. But also something very incredible, it helps the water gel state inside the cell. So I won't go into it too deeply, and if you would like to understand how cells really work, which is a great benefit for anyone because we all have bodies, and when you can understand your body better, you know how to heal yourself and you can look at yourself in a whole new light. So I'll just go into it briefly. As obviously food and water and stress and so forth, as that enters the body, if it's good or bad, it then creates ATP. That ATP will either be a good signal or it will be a bad signal. That signal then reacts with water. So we are mostly made up of water. So the quick thing I'll just bring up, which some people are thinking and have thought about it, as many pre-med doctors have when they're working in the ER. So they see a lot of patients, obviously, who've had stab wounds or they've been in an accident and there's a hole. So obviously they see blood, but they understand we're mostly made of water. How come we never see water just gushing out? Which makes a lot of sense. So what happens, as I spoke about in that line of how we work through food, through water, through stress, creates ATP. ATP then reacts with our water in our body, but it creates a water gel state. So our body's made up of a water gel state, very similar to Jello. So Jello by itself is obviously a powder. Jello with hot water and then left to cool becomes Jello. It becomes something totally different. It becomes something you can see, it's something you can smell, it's something you can taste. Same thing happens in our bodies. As I told you about the conversion, it hits the water, it forms a water gel state. The water gel state is one of the most important key points of our health, and it is determined by chemicals, by heavy metals, by foods, by water, by stress. So if we have all the wrong stuff, the water gel state is going to be distorted. But if it is healthy, which this peptide is going to regulate, but obviously, as I've always spoken, it is great to use great products, and peptides are some of the greatest cell-specific products in the world. So what it does, it's going in, SS31 is going inside the cell and helping recreate a healthy water gel state environment. So it keeps it running beautiful and shaped. And that's what we want above all in our bodies. So that water gel state is inside, but it's outside, and it helps to space out evenly cells so they can be the right distance. And it's the water gel state that regulates this. So then they can communicate to each other, not when the water gel state is bad and they're all clumped together, which is the start of cancer. But this is why I love SS31. It's not only doing the great things I've spoken about, but it's helping repair the water gel state inside, which is the source of the inflammation. So if you're using it to prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, or you're treating it, it is going to treat it along with all the other things I've spoken on an incredible level. I will go through it at another time because it takes a long time on dosages, how much it costs. Roughly, if you were going to do a proper course of it, back to back, which you'd want to do for a period of time to really help it, the more a peptide signals in your body, and it sends that signal, the more that signal is going to get stronger. So there's no use just doing it for a couple of days or a week or two and expect miracles. Yes, it is going to start repairing instantly, as I spoke about. As soon as it enters the body via your fat, which is a sub-Q injection, it's going to go instantly. Soon as it touches your skin, your body already recognizes it as a part of itself because your body is made up of amino acids. Roughly, the cost would be for a course be about $800. We're not talking thousands, we're not talking hundreds of thousands, but we're talking around $800 to do a decent course, so you're going to get some benefits from it. Is it worth it? Yes, it is worth it indeed. There's nothing like it on the market that does the healing on levels SS31 does. So I would highly recommend SS31, and I hope I cover this in a beautiful way. Next, we'll go on to ARA 290. ARA 290. What an incredible peptide. So what is ARA made up of? I call it a she, but it could be a he. ARA is made up of a credible healing molecule that our own body produces called EPO. EPO is created in our kidneys. So they use a fragment of this in an amino acid sequence to do incredible healing. So what is ARA 290? What is it made up of? It is made up of 8 amino acids, and those amino acids are asparagine, leucine, serine, glutamine, lysine, glycine, lysine, and lysine. So what does ARA 290 specifically do? ARA 290 turns off inflammation at the source. It calms the immune system imbalances and an overactive immune pathway. But what else does it do? It protects and repairs nerves, improves blood vessels and tissues, and also what makes ARA 290 so specific is that it is tissue specific. So it helps to bring more oxygen and the right nutrients to that site without fail, which makes it an incredible repair agent. That's why I recommend ARA 290 for neurodegenerative disorders, but also to prevent neurodegenerative disorders. I'll just let you know that it also, but this is the main topic we're talking about, because it is tissue specific, I'm using this with another peptide through my understanding and my research, and so far I'm seeing incredible results on levels I haven't seen in the past due to people I've worked with. But my partner has tears in her hip due to CrossFit in her earlier days, and obviously if CrossFit isn't done correctly or understood over periods of time, it will cause a lot of injuries to the body. So anyway, she's got tears around her hips, and they either can do surgery, but they can't guarantee because it's a very hard site to get into and it could cause more damage. So we said no. So what I'm using it for is to repair the site we can't get to, and it goes specifically to the site. That's why I'm applying it, because it is, again, it's a sub-Q injection. I'm sub-Qing that injection into that area. So then, yes, it will know what to do. It will go to that area and any other area in the body, as I'm talking about, the heart and the brain, to repair. It knows its job. But if you put it specifically closer to that area or very close, it will also help repair the tissue. This is what makes ARA290 such an incredible peptide. And also, I truly believe, through my own understanding, and obviously I buy it, that ARA290 money-wise will be slightly cheaper than SS31, because SS31 is great, but it is quite a high dosage for what it is. That means you're not going to get too much out of a bottle. That's why I always suggest do a course, and the course might be months, and months is probably looking at 800, maybe close to 1,000. ARA290, you'll get more out of a bottle because it doesn't need as much to do its job. I will bring all these up, and I've already mentioned it. I will bring up, and it hasn't really been done, specific peptides. We'll just do one at a time. This peptide, how do we reconstitute it? How do we inject it? How much are we looking at per injection for maintenance? How much are we looking at for repair? I actually use ARA, but also I use S31 on a repair dosage. For a repair dosage, I use it only on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, because it's doing repair. But if I had Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or dementia, it's already there. We really need to hit it every day. And that's the difference between a maintenance and a repair. So please really consider ARA290, what another, as I put the Superman shirt on, super peptide. Next, let's talk about the incredible peptide, very incredible. It's been around for a very, very long time. It is called DSIP. What is DSIP? So DSIP stands for Delta Sleep Inducing Peptide. It is made up of 9 amino acids, and it is called a nonapeptide, which means 9. But getting a little bit off the conversation, in my original home language of my mother, which is Italian, nonna means grandmother. But we're getting off the topic here, and it's not a nonna. So what are the 9 amino acids that make up this incredible delta sleep inducing peptide? They are tryptophan, alanine, glycine, aspartic acid, alanine, glycine, glutamic acid, and serine. What does DSIP do? It lowers cortisol in our body. It deepens the delta sleep when we go to sleep at night. It calms brain inflammation, which is the key point, and reduces oxidative stress. And this is what obviously we want with neurodegenerative disorders. A short history of DSIP. Incredible. These peptides, some of them have been around for a very long, long time. It's just modern science, or I should say modern doctors and their so-called science says that it hasn't been around very long, and we do not know the outcome of these peptides. But I can tell you that these peptides have been around for a very long time. So DSIP was found in 1977. I was born in 75, by Swiss researchers who found this tiny natural peptide in our brain. What does it do? It regulates the HPA axis. What is the HPA axis? It is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is dead center of our brain. It's the size of a walnut. Underneath that is the pituitary gland. What does the pituitary gland do? It releases human growth hormone, which is an incredible, powerful hormone that our body needs greatly. What else does it do? After that, it goes down to the adrenal, and your adrenals are just sitting above your kidneys like a hat, and they're like 2 points. So this is the short history of DSIP. I would recommend it greatly because of how it repairs your brain, and especially at nighttime re-regulates delta sleep. So a quick overview of delta sleep. Delta sleep and the different stages of sleep are great as we are born and we're very young and up to our 20s and so forth. They're all the different stages of sleep. Unfortunately, due to age and due to stress and due to chemicals and glyphosate sprayed on our food and so forth, this sleep gets deteriorated even quicker and earlier from what we're seeing. So by returning delta sleep, a very important part and stage of sleep, if that part gets reintroduced, which it will, and I use delta sleep, I use it for its healing properties of the brain. I use it also to lower cortisol levels. So if anyone out there has high cortisol levels due to stress, yes, you've got to do something to lower your stress. You can't just put this in as a band-aid, but it will help to reduce cortisol greatly. And if you're already producing way too much due to being severely stressed, you're going to feel at ease every day because it's naturally just going to push it down instead of letting it go up. But sleep is the most important healer. If we're not getting sleep and good sleep, the body can't heal. So what an incredible product, DSIP, Delta Sleep Inducing Peptide. Better sleep, lowering inflammation, helping the brain, helping the delta sleep wave patterns be brought back and have a better sleep every night. I can't recommend it any higher. I use it. I have used it in the past. Incredible. You just sleep better. You wake up better. You feel more refreshed. So I would really, truly recommend DSIP. It is very affordable. I would say a bottle of DSIP will cost you $120 to $180. You only, and as I said, I'll go through it, you need like a micro dose. It's probably 0.4 and it's not milligrams. It's mcgs. It's like micro version of milligrams. It's a whole different conversion rate. But a bottle would last you, I would say, definitely a month, possibly 6 weeks. So when you look at it, let's say 120 to 180, it lasts 6 weeks. You break that down per week. It's not that much, but what it's doing is incredible. It's returning the sleep that you used to have as a child and those patterns. It's lowering inflammation in the brain. It's helping regulate the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and your adrenals, which are such an important signaling line for health. So please really consider DSIP. Next is the incredible peptide C-Max. C-Max is made up of 7 amino acids. What's in these 7 amino acids? Well, the first one is, and we'll go through the list, it's methionine, glutamic acid, histidine, phenylalanine, proline, glycine, and proline. So what does C-Max actually do? C-Max, what does it do? It boosts focus and memory. It reduces brain inflammation. And always, this is a key point of why I brought up these peptides. We want to lower brain inflammation, to prevent neurodegenerative disorders, but also to treat neurodegenerative disorders. It protects neurons, which is such an incredible part. It improves your mood. It increases BDNF, the molecule that keeps your brain sharp and resilient. Also used successfully to treat depression. If you are using an antidepressant, please, you cannot use C-Max. The two together will clash. If you are suffering from depression or anxiety and it hasn't reached an all-time high, please really consider C-Max because it will treat depression and anxiety in a beautiful, in a clean, natural way, because your body is made up of amino acids. It recognizes this so clearly. It does it by resignaling the pathways and putting in the clean, beautiful signals that it used to have. So that's why your mood becomes so clear and so gentle and so elevated in a beautiful way when you start using C-Max. So please really consider C-Max. I currently use it myself. I use it, C-Max, I use it in the morning. I do not use C-Max at night time because it is bringing that sharpness and clarity. You don't need sharpness and clarity as you're about to go to sleep. So please don't use it at night. Use it first thing in the morning as you wake up on an empty stomach. So I've always said that peptides, which are amino acid sequence or amino acids by themselves, whenever you're taking them, have them away from food because it just helps to do their signaling better. Food, then sugars and carbohydrates, even though carbohydrates aren't bad for you, they blunten amino acids in their role. So take it at first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, take it at night like DSIP, because DSIP is delta sleep inducing peptide. It's regulating sleep. You don't want to have DSIP in the morning because you don't want to regulate sleep as you're getting up. So C-Max is to be taken in the morning. A bottle will last you a good 6 weeks. It will cost about $120 to $160. It's a micro dose. It doesn't hurt when you know how to do it into your sub-Q fat, and you'll find the position that suits you. That's why I always suggest, if you can, but I'll go through in videos and I'll show you on my own body what I mean. They're just different points in your body won't feel the pain. You'll know yourself because you've got this tiny little needle and you'll put it in one part and not to great degrees, but it's got like, oh, ouchie. In another part, you'll be like, I don't even feel it. So that's the parts you want to inject. If you cannot do it, please get your partner to do it. It is tiny, tiny. It's the whisper of a hair in width. It'll be done in seconds, and it's such a microdose. It literally takes probably 1 to 2 seconds and it's done. But the incredible healing benefits are so great. That's why I use it. I am using it for mental clarity, sharpness, to feel better during the day, but I'm also doing it to prevent neurodegenerative disorders. So please really consider the incredible peptide C-Max. L-carnitine, oral and injectable. What is it made of? It's made of 2 amino acids, but it is not a chain and it is not a peptide. It is formed from 1, lysine, and 2, methionine. The body then modifies this 2 amino acids into L-carnitine, a single molecule. So what does L-carnitine actually do? This incredible product that has been around for so long, this amino acid, we've heard a lot about it, but it is so underrated. Well, what does it do? It moves fatty acids into the mitochondria for energy. It boosts mitochondrial performance by ATP, especially in the brain, the heart, and the muscles. It lowers inflammation by reducing oxidative stress, supports memory and mood, but it also improves blood flow and nerve healing. What an incredible product, L-carnitine. There are 2 forms, as I spoke about. One is oral, one is injectable. The L-carnitine oral, I recommend by Healthwise. That is the brand. Its purity is 99%. You can get it from Flannery's, and Flannery's, as I've mentioned in other talks, always has a sale on the first week of every month on a Friday and a Saturday, and you'll get 20% off. So it's worth buying at that time, and you get the 300 grams. The 150 grams is just too small. 300 grams is money for value. How much would you take For a maintenance dose, you would take 10 grams in the morning, and you can take 10 grams at lunchtime, because obviously it's boosting mitochondrial performance, but also helping your heart, your brain, your muscles perform better, getting more energy. If you're doing repair, I would recommend in the oral 20 grams in the morning, 20 grams at lunch, not in the afternoon or late evening, I should say, at night, because it's going to keep you up. But it is such an underestimated amino acid. And when you can get it from a pure source, it does so much. And I've seen with some elderly people I have worked with who are using other things also, but just something so simple as L-carnitine is making such a great improvement in their mitochondria. Also, for those ones who can do it and are not afraid of needles, there is an injectable form. There is a company in Australia called Premium Supplements. They're online. They're very good. Their quality is 100%. I've used it and do use it. It comes in two forms. So they're both 30 ml bottles. One is 300 milligrams per ml. The other bottle is 600 milligrams per ml. Now, I always recommend getting the 600. You're going to have to inject less and get the same benefits instead of injecting twice as much. I would recommend that you inject this intramuscularly, so in your buttocks. I'm not going to go through at the moment because there's quite a bit of detail exactly where you do it in your buttocks. Obviously, it's in the tissue, in the soft part. But you'd use a needle. I would recommend, if we're doing repair, I would be looking at 12 to 1500. So we're looking at easy. We're looking at 2.3 mils of injectable. Can you do it every day? You could, but your body most likely will not love you for it. And what do I mean by love you? By love you with it. Injectable form of L-carnitine, because it's made up of those two, and because of its composition, it's on the acidic side. It has a sting to it. If you were to inject it, and you were, let's say you're going to do 2 mils, I would use another mil of BAC water, bacterial static water. The backwater is a special water that's used to reconstitute peptides, but also it'll just help take that sting out. So then you'll have 2 mils of L-carnitine at 600, which is 1200 together. You'll have a mil of this. It will just dilute it so it's not so thick, and then you intramuscularly put it into your buttocks. I reckon that twice a week would be sufficient, because injecting too much intramuscularly at the same site all the time, and especially it gives you a sting and it can give you a little bit of a welt. So that's why you always massage the area. I wouldn't and couldn't see, and I wouldn't recommend injecting it 5 days a week, because you're just going to get a lot of ouchies. Your butt's going to have some welts. But if it didn't have that factor, I would recommend injectable over oral, because it goes straight into your bloodstream. And as we spoke about what it does for the mitochondria, what it does for the heart, the brain, your muscles, how it repairs the centers that are damaged, helps them to work better, reduces oxidative stress, brings down neuroinflammation. It is wonderful. So what I usually do, I have 3 times a week. Monday to Friday, I will have oral, and twice a week, I will have injectable. It is such a simple thing. It is so underestimated and so not spoken about, but L-carnitine can heal so much. So please, guys, please really consider L-carnitine. Thank you so much, guys, for watching Neurodegenerative Disorders Part 2. if you guys and you haven't watched it, please watch Neurodegenerative Disorders Part 1. It has such relevance to Part 2, and it's something so overlooked due to Western civilization and culture has removed the aspect, and that's why the burden is greater than ever on our brains. Also, guys, if you could, because I love this to take off even more, I love teaching people about overall health. We're not just covering one aspect. I've been learning for such a long time, but also applying. I'll go into that in a second. But I've been learning all fields, the insides and the outs, from a distance, from around, from internal, in peptides, naturopath, herbs, mushrooms, you name it. I am combining everything from all sources so then you can heal the way nature intended you to heal, but using all these incredible things when needed from overall perspective instead of, and there's nothing wrong with that because obviously I learnt off these great individuals, but a naturopath is just a naturopath, a herbalist is just a herbalist, a homeopath is just a homeopath. They all stick to their own individual areas where I'm combining all areas, including peptides, including wisdom and understanding from Mother Nature. And I have seen some of the greatest results working with individuals one-on-one on things that Western culture has told them it can't be fixed. And I'll just go a quick overview. One was an elderly person who had for over 10 years the last stages of osteoporosis, so brittle bones. She no longer has brittle bones in just over 2 years. She has positive bone density. Next thing was rheumatoid arthritis, where their hands and their feet were so swollen, the poor individual had so much pain due to inflammation and they couldn't even brush their teeth at night. With under a year to a year and a half, swelling's gone. They look great in a physical shape. They go for an hour power walk a day and they're over 80. I've also worked with people who've had asthma and brought their asthma down to at least by 80% out of 100. I've worked with leaky gut and we've fixed that leaky gut. I've worked with so many things, including diabetes, where the person was insulin dependent, that after they were over 10 years insulin dependent, and I just said, hey, if you just have a listen to me, I'll run things by you, I'll help you understand, and if you apply them, you won't need to be insulin dependent. And he said, no, my doctor said, I've got to have this the rest of my life. And I said, okay. I said, do you want to listen? And he did. Beautiful individual. I used what his body and nature designed it to be. With under 4 months, he was no longer insulin dependent and put his last insulin needle on the wall. I've seen other incredible things too, with autistic children and all sorts of ailments that Western medicine said it couldn't be healed, including my dear partner who had severe brain trauma injury, and it was due to an accident overseas, and unfortunately doctors and specialists, they said, we can't see anything in the tests, maybe you've just got severe jet lag. I, through a lot of understanding already and then learning everything else I could from all fields, worked it out, and with under 2 weeks we spun around severe sleeplessness, depression, crying, not able to, sounds and smells were amplified and light, where she had to go home early because she couldn't just take it anymore. Under 2 weeks from such a critical level of crying and didn't know what to do, we spun it around because I have the understanding and I have the love and I have the knowledge. And these are just some of the few things I've worked. So if there are any individuals out there and you've got something and you say, Steele, could you work with me? I would love to work with you. Also, guys, I would love these podcasts to grow. if you could please, if you enjoy the talk, please give a thumbs up. If you benefited or you saw someone or you've sent this to someone and they've benefited in their life, please leave a comment. And also send in emails through All Things Health. If there's a topic you'd love to be covered that hasn't been covered, I would love to cover it for you, so then you or your friend or your relative or just it was a query can be resolved, and then you go, that's what it is. That's how it can be fixed. I would love to do that, so please send in emails of any podcasts you'd love me to do. And the topics, most likely, the next one will be on our fur babies, both cats and dogs, how to better their health and improve their health in a lot of different ranges. And also the topic of sex. What can be done when sex in all aspects of our life, including when you've been in a relationship for a long time and it seems like, and due to being overworked and tired and so forth, the fires aren't burning as bright. But I tell you now, it can be fixed with the right things, but also with the right applications to make that couple burn with great desire and great ability physically to have the fire they did when they were once young. So please, guys, please look out for this, but also look out for in the near future, but I'm taking my time because there's lots to cover on vaccines, childhood illnesses, and autoimmunity. This is something everyone should know. I'm going to cover it just like I did with cancer in depth, and you'll be fascinated to know things that have been unfortunately swept under the rug. So see you next time, and thank you guys, and we'll see you soon.